All right. So now here we're gonna do again the multiplication, the product, but this topic it's called difference of two squares. Okay, this topic is now called difference of two squares. Okay, so as stated before, square numbers is when the same number is being multiplied with itself. That includes negative numbers, which is true, right? For an example, we know that 25 is a perfect square. But how do we see a square number? It's when a number it is multiplied by itself, because you know that in order for us to get this product, which is 25, we're going to have to multiply 5 by itself, and therefore that's what we call a square number. Including the negative numbers, like when you multiply -5 by -5, whereby we're going to have -5 to the power of 2. Remember, we expand this. So what does this 2 mean? It means we have two negative 5s. So -5 multiplied by -5, we get positive 25. So as stated before, square numbers is when the same number is being multiplied with itself. So this is an example that shows a square number. So, but now here, this is what is happening. We are talking about the binomials. For an example, this is a binomial and this is a binomial. For a fact that we're going to have to multiply the factors out, you will see that when you multiply x by x, you're going to get its square number. When you multiply 4 by 4, you're going to get its square number, which will be 16. Okay, but this type of product, it is called difference of two squares. So meaning when you get the product is what you call difference in squares, which is x squared and 16 are squares. Take note that there is no middle term, because the middle term is 0, where we just said -4x plus 4x. When we sum them together, we get 0. So how do you see that the product that we're gonna get, it's gonna be a difference of two squares? By just looking at the brackets that we are going to multiply. By just looking at here, you can tell that your final answer will be this if you are used on how to treat this type of questions. Okay, so you'll see, man, as time goes by, more especially when we get to grade 11, grade 12, we're no longer gonna have to expand just like this. We'll just write the answer from here to there without writing the steps. But now you're in grade 10, these steps are very crucial and you need to show them when you do your calculations. So now let's have a look at these examples. Simplify the following. Make sure you show all your work. Like I said, make sure you show all your work. I mean, like from here, I can tell what will be my final answer. I can just write my final answer, but because you're in grade 10 and you are asked to show all your work, so that means that's what you're supposed to do. You're not just supposed to write the final answer. You'll do those things as we progress with other grades. So now let us try to solve question number 2.1. Now let us rewrite the question, which is x subtract 2x plus 2. Now let us determine difference of two squares of this expression. So first step is, remember, we're still gonna do what we did first time. X multiplied by x is gonna be x squared. And then we're gonna say x multiplied by 2 is gonna be 2x. And then we're gonna say negative x multiplied by positive x, negative 2 multiplied by positive x is going to give us negative 2x, and negative 2 multiplied by positive 4. So negative 2 multiplied by positive 2, we're going to get negative 4. And therefore now we can see that these are like terms. It's positive 2x, negative 2x. They're going to fall off to give 0. And therefore these we'll just write them as they are. So our final answer will be x squared minus 4, which is the final answer of these two binomials. And then 2.2, it says to us, here we have x plus 5, and then here we have x subtract 5. Once more, again, we need to multiply these two brackets together. So we're going to say x multiplied by x, it will be x squared. X multiplied by negative 5, it will be negative 5x. 5 multiplied by x, it will be positive 5x. 5 multiplied by 5, 5 multiplied by negative 5, it will be negative 25. And therefore here we're going to have x squared. This and these are like terms, and it's negative 5, positive 5. They're going to give us 0 and then negative 25. And therefore this will be difference of two squares of these two brackets over there. Now we move to question number 2.3. Let me rewrite it as it is. We have x minus 3. We have x plus 3. Now again, here we need to multiply these two brackets together. We have x multiplied by x, it will be x squared. We have x multiplied by 3, it will be positive 3x. We have negative 3 multiplied by positive x, it will be negative 3x. And we have negative 3 multiplied by positive 3, it will be negative 9. And therefore here we have x squared, this and this, they are the same with different signs. They're gonna fall off, they're gonna give us 0. And then we're gonna move down with our negative 9, and this will be the final answer of these two brackets. And then 2.4, we have x subtract 7, we have x plus 7. Then we multiply. X multiplied by x, it will be x squared. X multiplied by 7, it will be 7x. Negative 7 multiplied by positive x, it will be negative 7x. And then negative 7 multiplied by positive 7, it will be negative 49. And therefore here we have x squared, this and this, they're gonna fall off with 0. And then we have negative 49. I hope that before I start solving these questions, you write them on your own. Before I can even get to the final answer, you are already at the final answer. Basically, you are practicing with me. I'm not just solving these questions alone. I hope that's what you are doing. Okay? All right. Now, 2.5, it's yours. You're going to have to do it by yourself. I'm giving it to you as your work. 2.6, I'm also giving it to you as your work. You will solve it by yourself. In fact, let me do 2.6, you will do 2.7, okay? Let me do 2.6, you will do 2.7. So now 2.6 is a little bit different from what we have been doing. Remember, these questions, they upgrade with standard as time goes by. So now 2.6, our brackets, we have 3x subtract 2, 3x plus 2. This is also a difference of two squares. That's what I'm going to get for sure. So now let us multiply. Remember, we are still abiding by the laws that we started with, the FOIL law, right? And these are two binomials. So 3x multiplied by 3x, 3x multiplied by 3x, 3 multiplied by 3, it will be 9. And then x multiplied by x, it will be x squared. So that means 3x multiplied by 3x will be 9x squared. And then 3x multiplied by positive 2, we start by multiplying by numbers. It's going to be 6, 3 by 2, and then x. So that means 3x multiplied by 2x, we're going to get 6x. Now we move to negative 2. Negative 2 multiplied by 3x, 3 multiplied by 2 is going to be negative 6x. And therefore negative 2 multiplied by positive 2, it will give us negative 4. And therefore here we have 9x squared. And then these, they're going to fall off. They're going to give 0. And then we're going to have negative 4. So 9, it's a perfect square. X squared, it's a perfect square. 4, it's a perfect square. This product, it is called difference of two squares of this expression over there. That will be 2.6. And then I said to you, 2.7 will now be yours. It's the same as what we have been doing. 2.8. It will also be yours as your work to do. I hope you do it. And then 2.9. I did a question that looks like 2.9. And then we have 2.10. I'll just do 2.10 for you. And then 2.9 will be yours to do as well. So now let's have a look at 2.10. Now 2.10, we have two brackets, x squared plus 9, x squared minus 9. And therefore we need to multiply these two brackets together. We're still gonna abide to the same laws. We're still gonna abide to the same principles that we have learned from the basics. So we're still gonna have to say this factor multiplied by this factor. So x squared multiplied by x squared. Remember, the bases are the same. We add the exponent as much as we have been doing. So x squared multiplied by x squared, it will be x to the power of 4. X squared multiplied by -9, it will be -9x squared. Now we jump to +9. +9 multiplied by x squared, it will be +9x squared. And therefore 9 multiplied by 9, which is +9 multiplied by negative, it's going to be negative. +9 multiplied by -9 is going to be -81. And therefore, when we have a look at this expression, let us add the like terms together. This and this, they're going to fall off. They are the same. It's negative and positive. They minus to give 0. And therefore, we're going to left with x to the power of 4 subtract 81. And then this will be our final product or our final answer, which is also a difference of two squares, because x to the power of 4, it's a perfect square. 81, it is also a perfect square. So that means the final answer to this expression will be this.